If there is one thing people love, it's a good baddie, and thankfully video games have loads of them. Villains give us a window into the darker sides of life, coming in all shapes and sizes and utilizing their imposing strength, incredible intellect, or undeniable charms to see their plans carried through. However, sometimes a villain is more obvious than other times. There are those who do their scheming out in the open, while others prefer to have their escapades hidden in the shadows. But what happens when a baddie is able to keep their true intentions sealed away by sticking close to, and even assisting, a player in a video game? I'm Jess from WhatCulture, and here are 10 more video game villains hiding in plain sight. Number 10. Atlas, Bioshock. Bioshock's Rapture is one of the most iconic failed utopias in gaming history, with players forced to battle all manner of genetically modified and deformed villains. It's a game that doesn't offer many friends, which makes the reveal that one of your chief allies is actually a villain stand out as an especially gut-punching blow. Throughout Bioshock, Atlas is presented as Andrew Ryan's biggest opponent and aids players in getting to him. It's only when players get in front of Ryan that he reveals Atlas's true identity. After hinting that Atlas's "would you kindly" catchphrase is a psychic command to make players do his bidding, Ryan is killed by players. Atlas then comes on the radio to tell him that his real name is Frank Fontaine, and he's indeed been manipulating you this entire time. With his rival now disposed of, Fontaine is free to run Rapture. Charismatic, deceitful, and with a master plan of domination and destruction, yeah, maybe we should have seen it coming. Number 9. Maria, Silent Hill 2. Since we're talking about video games where there aren't too many friendly characters waiting for players, Silent Hill 2 is an experience filled with grotesque monsters designed to push James Sunderland's psychological terror to its absolute limits. It makes the brief moments of respite that he and the players get with the seemingly friendly Maria all the sweeter. Sadly though, all is not as it first seems here. Maria and James spend their time in the foggy Silent Hill together, keeping each other company and providing a dose of sanity as things spiral out of control. Players do their best to keep her out of harm's way. However, when James is forced to watch Maria being repeatedly killed, it becomes clear there's something sinister behind this character. It turns out Maria is a nightmare conjured up by the town to torment James. Designed to closely mirror the appearance of his wife, Maria's sinister reveal manages to stand out as a far more chilling development than any of Silent Hill's more gruesome baddies could match up to. Number 8. Clayface, Batman Arkham City. Players are forced to confront and battle Joker inside the Monarch Theatre in the ending of Batman Arkham City. Joker, who'd practically been at death's door previously, appears to be completely cured of the Titan poisoning, only to reveal that the healthy Joker isn't Batman's biggest rival, but rather Clayface, a villain capable of impersonating any living organism. It's revealed that Clayface has been working as one of Joker's allies throughout the entire game, and actually pulled off a number of the sequences players see in-game, including shutting down Black Mask's operations and opening up the Sionis steel mill for Joker and his goons to use. It's a neat little hoodwink, and one that surely tricked a few players during their first playthrough, but it can actually be spoiled way earlier on. If players scan the fake Joker during their fight using detective mode, they'll see that he's missing a skeletal structure. Every other person has one, including the real Joker, so this is Rocksteady's way of teasing the truth for eagle-eyed players. Number 7. Edelgard von Hresvelg, Fire Emblem 3 Houses. This entry may be a tad more controversial than the others depending on your perspective. Make no mistake, Edelgard is definitely an enigmatic personality whose characteristics and motivations are certainly well written. We're just not sold on her ends justifying the means as a cop-out for some exceptionally brutal acts. Fire Emblem 3 Houses is a game split into 2 parts, with the second half chronicling the conflict that engulfs Fodlan, while the first explores the mysterious identity of the Flame Emperor. All 3 leaders of the Great Houses are touted as potential suspects, but Edelgard von Hresvelg would have been the least likely on the list. Shown around Garreg Mach Monastery as a friendly NPC and party member, the leader of the Black Eagles is eventually revealed to be the game's chief villain in a shocking revelation. Again, she's given plenty of reasons for being a sympathetic villain and potentially even a grey hero if players decide to stick by her side. In order to stick by her side, you'd want to have chosen the Black Eagles at the beginning, and then when given the choice to go with Edelgard or the Church, you would obviously go with Edelgard. Personally, I went with the Church, which is pretty darn unpopular, but I don't know. I thought Edelgard was a bad guy. As nuanced as she is, she's still a tyrannical ruler who managed to pull the wool over plenty of players during their first playthrough, so whether you like her or not, she definitely qualifies for the list. Number 6. The Cannibals of Markarth, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. The Elder Scrolls Daedric god Namira is all about the disgust and horror that comes from mortals, and takes a keen interest in acts like the consumption of human flesh. Through her Daedric quest, players can uncover a small cult of followers who are happily engaging in cannibalism. Lisbeth Banning and Hogni Redarm are all citizens of Markarth that you can interact with, purchase things from, and sell things to, and all of them are cannibals that you'll find at Namira's shrine. Markarth is a city riddled with intrigue and scheming, where villains are constantly walking the streets under the nose of the player. However, there's something especially disturbing about the glee these cannibals take in going about their daily duties, doing Namira's work, all while the surrounding city is none the wiser. Special shout out to Hogni, the enthusiastic butcher whose fascination with blood and meat clearly disgusts most of Markarth. It's implied that the meat he's selling is in fact human flesh, which just paints this whole cult in an even more gruesome light. Somehow even more gruesome than the layout of Markarth. I hate Markarth, I'm sorry. Number 5. Toru Adachi, Persona 4. Atlas's Persona 4 centers around a series of supernatural-themed murders that a player needs to solve set across a sleepy Japanese village. Players and the group of high school friends attempt to link the supernatural in the shadow world, whilst their in-game uncle attempts to make sense of the crimes as a detective, along with his partner Toru Adachi in the real world. From the outset, Adachi's presented as being the archetypal, bumbling right-hand man. He constantly blurts out sensitive information and demonstrates how wanting his detective skills are in the field. However, these will serve as a front for Adachi's true nature. It's revealed that in fact he is the nihilistic and ambitious supervillain behind the string of murders which kickstart the events of the game. Players can fail to identify Adachi as the murderer, which leads to the ultimate destruction of humanity. Not recommended if you want the good ending. But if he's caught, he freely explains how he'd always felt constrained by the real world, giving into violent aspects of his shadow self and engaging in Izanami's murderous game across Inaba. Number 4. G-Man, Half-Life. The G-Man is the overarching villain of the Half-Life series and is infamous for his interdimensional abilities and dapper array of suits. He's best known for his more highbrow appearances in Half-Life 2. However, what some players might not have realized upon playing the series the first time around is that his influence was introduced a lot earlier than that. In the original Half-Life, eagle-eyed players might have been able to spot a strange, sticky man in a suit appearing in random spots throughout the game. Some of these cameos are so quick, if you blinked at the wrong moment, you'd miss them, but he is always there. Few people at the time could have realized how big of a role that particular man would go on to play, and even today there are plenty of players who either miss G-Man's hidden cameos or fail to realize that's who they're seeing. Nevertheless, it goes to show how far back G-Man's influence stretches and the extent of his omniscience. Number 3. Al-Mualim, Assassin's Creed. The original Assassin's Creed saw players taking control of Altair, a skilled assassin who's sent to kill high-profile targets across the Holy Land during the Third Crusade. The one dishing out the orders is his mentor Al-Mualim, the leader of the assassins. Al-Mualim is constantly berating Altair for his brashness and dealing lessons in patience, humility, and understanding. All of this makes the final reveal that Al-Mualim has been the big bad puppet master behind the events of the game that much more shocking. Having secretly been working alongside the Knights Templar, Al-Mualim becomes ensnared by the power of the Peace of Eden. He uses Altair as a means of eliminating his 9 collaborators and ultimately keeping the power the artifact possesses all to himself. Hoodwinks, unreliable narrators, and betrayals are something the Assassin's Creed series came to embrace in later entries, but there's still no beating the one that kicked them all off. Number 2. Big Smoke, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Big Smoke and Dan Ryder's betrayal in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is one of the most iconic in video game history. The pair were after money, power, respect, and authority, and decided to sell out Grove Street in favor of siding with the Ballers. It was a betrayal that claimed the life of CJ's mother and nearly the life of his brother during the campaign. Given his charisma and larger-than-life personality, it's a shocking and sad betrayal, but also one that had been hiding under the noses of players throughout their time on Grove Street. Right from the off, Ballers don't shoot at Smoke or at Ryder when players are thrown into the chaos of San Andreas. He doesn't attend the funeral of CJ's mother, and even his introduction where he's shown with a baseball bat mistaking CJ for an intruder is a facade for his true intentions, hiding out at the Johnson household waiting for Sweet to take him out. Furthermore, his constant evasion, changes in conversation, and the presence of Crash constantly overhanging make him a character whose intentions were definitely far more surface level than what players would have liked to believe. Number 1. Soulless, Dragon Age Inquisition. There are of course spoilers ahead, so beware. Dragon Age Inquisition is one of those games that absolutely revels in hiding the true villain's identity from you the entire time. For the most part, Curfeus is painted as the biggest baddie in the game, with the biggest threat to the world. But in reality, this ancient Darkspawn is merely a puppet for Inquisition's true villain, hidden just below the nose of the players. Fen'Harel, the elven god Dreadwolf, is the game's true villain and is secretly hidden by taking the form of Soulless. Soulless joins the Inquisition and can be one of the most dependable mages in the game, and is even a romantic option for players if those ears are the kind of things that get you going. But make no mistake, Soulless is hell-bent on destroying the Veil and restoring his own elven kind to glory, causing irreparable chaos in the process. Depending on the relationship players have with Soulless, his reaction to revealing his true identity will vary, either showing next to no guilt or expressing genuine remorse for his actions. Either way, Inquisition's story concludes with him reveling in his role as a trickster, and walking off with even more power in his hands.